Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Fulner here. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's weekend coming along here to start the new work week? Let's take a look and see. Yes, we have a winter storm across parts of the Northeast here. We're going to be looking at some significant warning criteria snow accumulations here. And take a look at this as we look into parts of Northeast Pennsylvania, southern tier of New York, getting up into the Hudson Valley, Catskills, parts of the Poconos, and then eventually here into parts of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts. Look at that. Yeah, we could be looking at a system that's going to be going coastal on us. And we could be looking at a bigger storm potential for later Friday into Saturday. Let's get into it. All right, so taking a look at snowfall accumulations based on what I think is going to happen, historical trends as well as geography here. This is what we're looking at, anywhere into this darker blue. This is the 4 to 8 inch range. You can see the back edge of it here. We likely fall off very quickly from Buffalo State College down to Harrisburg. But look at here towards Binghamton and Syracuse. You're going to be right on the edge of that warning criteria, 4 to 6, 6 to 8. So you'll probably see a solid 4 to 7 here. Hudson Valley, you get a little bit of a snow shadow here. 3 to 6 inches likely, but look at that. Just west of you in the eastern Catskills, look at that, 12 to 18 inches and 8 to 12 inches here into this more fuchsia color. Here into western Massachusetts as well, extreme southern Vermont, yeah, you're going to see that area of 8 to 12, 12 to 18 inches, as well as just north of Concord here into parts of New Hampshire and western Maine here. Yeah, Boston, you're going to get some warmer air with this low pressure system, so it's going to keep you down at the low end advisory criteria. But look at just west of you where the cold air will probably wrap around pretty quickly. Parts of Connecticut and Rhode Island here, much of Massachusetts, 6 to 8 inch totals. Out here down in New York City, I think you'll see about 1 to 2 inches. Out on Long Island, I could see you getting about 2 to 3 inches here. Let's take a look. All right, so here is the European model. Take a look at this. So yeah, you had some snowfall up here initially on, Saturday night, Sunday morning. That's just going to add on top that. But here it is. Take a look at this. This is what we're looking at. European model. This is interesting. It's bringing some of the snowfall down into parts of southeastern Pennsylvania, the southern Poconos here. Warning criteria. There's the Catskills. Back towards the Interstate 81 corridor, you're anywhere from 4 to 6 inches there. Look at this. They're actually bringing some snowfall back towards Williamsport here in the 4 to 6 inch range too. We'll have to see if those trends continue. Keeping a little bit of a snow shadow here towards Boston with those warmer airs coming in with the low pressure system. Kind of keeping this area a little bit lower than I think is actually going to happen. I think we're going to have, high-end advisory, low-end warning criteria. Look at this, north of Concord, definitely getting some heavy snow. Parts of the Adirondacks, Catskills, and Poconos. And if you take a look at the GFS here, let's take a look. Yeah, it is a little bit on the higher end here, keeping more of the colder temperatures here at the surface. You see, look at this big old warning criteria in such a very large area here. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty interesting. We'll have to see if these trends continue. GFS kind of bringing, the heaviest snow back towards the I-81 corridor here in the 6 to 8 inch range. And look at that. Catskills and Poconos, we're getting up towards the 12 to 16 inches here, according to the GFS. And look at this, down towards coastal Connecticut, even close to warning criteria here, 3 inches out on that. This is interesting. The GFS is actually putting just north of New York City here about 6 inches. So definitely have to watch and see if this trend continues. All right, so let's start off with your HRRR model here, the future radar here across the Northeast. So we got some snow showers that'll be coming to an end here in parts of northern New England and northern New York State. But look what's coming on the horizon. This is 11 a.m., 12 p.m. Monday. See some rain moving into parts of Ohio here. Some heavier rain stretching down into parts of the Northeast here. And some mixed precipitation up here just north of Detroit. But watch as we continue to go in time here. You'll see this precipitation start to break out Monday at 4 p.m. So the HRRR here is it's holding the biggest precipitation back here across parts of Pennsylvania. But watch as it heads eastward here towards rush hour. So this is just after the rush hour, Scranton up to Binghamton, Ithaca, Rochester, Williamsport. Yeah. I think it is interesting that the HRRR is so slow in bringing this precipitation in. I think it'll be a little bit quicker than this, but see, this is by 8 p.m. You'll really be in the thick of it. This is where the banding of the snow starts here across Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, up to Binghamton. Parts of these areas in the Poconos, Catskills, down towards Orange County, New York, Newburgh, and just north of New York City here. So look at as we bring the heaviest precipitation in overnight, 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Look at this. Yeah, we're getting some heavy. We get a little bit of a nose of warmer air up here to parts of the Susquehanna Valley, so we might have some brief mixing up here towards Binghamton. But for the most part, I think it will be heavy snow. A heavy wet snow with wind gusts 20 to 30 miles per hour, so there might be some scattered power outages, so plan on for that, especially the higher elevations where the winds will be strongest. But look at this. 12 a.m., 1 a.m. Tuesday. Yeah, we're continuing to ban the snow here. And one note here across, of course, this model is really entrenching some snow here across parts of central Pennsylvania. I think that might be a little bit overdone. We'll watch the trends here, but look at this across the Poconos, parts of the Hudson Valley, eastern Catskills. This is probably where some of your heaviest snow will fall during this time. Watch this as we continue to plow eastward here. Boston breaking out with the snow just before sunrise here. And look at this. Some of these white areas, this is where the coastal really starts to take over here, just southeast of New York City and Long Island. You do start to change over to rain here in parts of Long Island. But look at this. This band of snow here to the northwest, there'll be snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches an hour in this white zone. So this is pretty interesting here across parts of southern New England, definitely making up maybe a little bit for lost time. Still doesn't make up for that lack of snow you've had all winter, but look at that. Yeah, this is by 6 a.m. You're heading towards the morning rush here, and you're starting to get to the back end of the precipitation here in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. But look at this. You start to fill in here to the northwest towards Binghamton, Elmira. You'll start to get some sleet pellets, maybe mixing in with some freezing rain, freezing drizzle at times here. But the big nor'easter here, if you want to call it that, coastal system, will be going on here across parts of southern New England, and look at that. It'll be interesting to see, if we get some couple inches out here, out on Cape Cod, and then towards Providence, Rhode Island here, more towards the 4 to 6 to 8 inch range here. So yeah, as we continue in time, you can see how this coastal really starts to wrap up here, and you do start to get some wraparound moisture. This is towards 11 a.m. Tuesday, so let me just back up there. See how this kind of fills in? So you'll get a little bit of a dry slot come 6, 7, 8 a.m. here coming through, and look how it starts to wrap around here. So you'll start to have some more heavy wet snow accumulate on top of that. So you can kind of see the comma head here. Look at that. Yeah, that's a big expanse of snow here. Probably our biggest storm we've seen pretty much all season so far. All right, so I wanted to show you here the system in the Northeast for the European model. Let's go switch right over to the European model here. You can see. Take a look at this. So as we continue in time, it is pretty similar to the HRRR. Let's see. The start of this precipitation, as you can see, looks to be right around, it's late afternoon, early evening. So right around that 5 p.m. time frame, 4 p.m. time frame here on the European model here across the Susquehanna River Valley. Probably a little bit sooner. But look at that. We head into just after midnight, Monday night. Look at this. The heaviest bands of snow really start to set up here on the European model across this region, just northwest of New York City, parts of the eastern Catskills, Poconos, into the lower Hudson Valley. And look how that pivots. You got this 992 millibar low. You still have some wraparound moisture. See this low that's weakening up towards Buffalo? You're still having some warm air. This is why I think, we're not going to see too many heavy accumulations across parts of central and western Pennsylvania. Still see a couple inches. But look at that. As we head throughout the day, let's just back that up. This is towards 10, 11 a.m. You still have some snow across upstate New York, Binghamton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Albany. Still getting some moderate bands of snow there. And look at that. That kind of continues throughout the day here into parts of New England. So even though the snow will be lightening up, that is going to be the interesting part. Now, let me just zoom out momentarily. I want to show you this next system that ejects into the region. So as we continue towards, look at this. So yeah, you're going to see, I just wanted to go over one thing with you with severe weather. So this is overnight, Sunday night into early Monday morning. This is going to be an explosive area for development. You're going to see tornado outbreak, nocturnal tornadoes, and this is going to be one heck of a squall line across parts of eastern Kansas down and through parts of Texas here. Now, let's continue in time. Look at this. It becomes more of a wind maker here across parts of the Midwest, and then starts to transition into winter storm on the northeast section of this system. So it's kind of a lopsided system. It's pretty well stacked by this point. But look at this. There's that high pressure keeping that cold air entrenched across parts of eastern New York, northeastern Pennsylvania into New England. And look at that. just pivots into the northeast and then slides off the coast, doesn't fully move up the coast. And take a look at this. There's that Thursday system moving through, but look what starts to happen here across the south. This system sets up a bit further to the south on the Euro, and you will have some severe weather problems, eastern Texas, parts of Louisiana, but watch this. This system's really going to start to become a big winter storm maker all the way down to northern Arkansas by Friday morning. And look at the expanse of all this snow. You got a big cold high to the north here, according to the European model. GFS doesn't really place this high quite that far south, but take a look at this. We got a lot of overrunning precipitation initially. Now watch how the European model plays this out. This is midday Friday. There's just afternoon. 981 millibar low here across southeastern part of Ohio. If this model run verifies, and the Euro has been trending further south here, this would put areas to the north here into blizzard conditions. I'm just going to put that out there. And look at this. This is 983 millibar low, just as you're getting out of work. This would be a total mess here across parts of Indiana, northern Ohio, upstate New York, extreme northern Pennsylvania on your Friday. This would be just explosive. 984 millibar low, Binghamton, Syracuse, Albany, this kind of track over to Toledo, Ohio. This would be an all-out blizzard. Look at that. 985 right over New York City. That puts upstate New York, north central New England right in. And look how it starts to stall by Saturday, because you got this blocking high to the north here. This would be insane. Look at this. This would stall right over just south of Cape Cod here and just pummel southeastern New England for days, and then finally making an exit towards Sunday here. So that is pretty interesting. All right, so I wanted to go out a bit further out here onto the European model run for snowfall, because we'll go through this one. There it is. Look at this. Watch this as we head towards Friday. This is going to go right on top the snowfall you've seen on this model, but watch this. Yeah, this is Friday into Saturday. This would add on an additional like almost 20 inches across this region. This is the Elmira to Binghamton, Cortland over to Albany region here in Utica. This would be tremendous, and that's that potential blizzard that I was showing you that may happen from parts of the northern Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, into parts of the Northeast here. So we're going to have to watch this trend. Let me show you versus the GFS. So as we take a look at the GFS here, there's that initial, and it's going to fall right on top, so there it is. Yeah, so you still get snowfall across upstate New York, but it's much further here to the north in northern New York, so GFS still shows a blizzard, but it would extend from more of Michigan up into parts of northern New England instead of in this region here, which would be more in line with the European model. So we're still seeing some snowfall from Binghamton northward here into northern New England, but it's going to be much higher according to the GFS further north, bringing in much warmer air. So as we take a look at the Canadian, so there's our first storm. Canadian is further south than all of them. Take a look at this. This brings a big old blizzard here from parts of southern, central, and eastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey. So there's still a very strong low pressure system that moves up like this. So definitely something to keep an eye on here as we go towards Friday and Saturday. All right, so let's take a look at the height anomalies here at 500 millibars. You see that big old ridge across the east. There is our piece of energy. You saw it here move from the plains all the way to Ohio by... there it is, late Monday, early Tuesday. So even though we have ridging back east here, this is going to be enough to push energy there. And you see how it slides off the east coast. It just an area of weakness. That's why we can't call it a full-blown nor'easter. It becomes kind of a coastal system, but it's still there, and it's still going to create some problems. And probably our biggest snowstorm we've seen so far this winter, especially across New England. See how that slowly exits. Look what's happening out here on the west coast. Watch this area of energy as it plows into the Four Corners region, Intermountain West here into parts of the Southern Plains. Thursday, this dives much further to the south than the previous, and it's much stronger. And this is the worry here across parts of the northern upper Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, into parts of the Northeast. We may see, if this European model verifies, a blizzard. So look at the time this would be happening too. Major blocking up here in Greenland. This is a prime scenario. You also have blocking off the U.S. East Coast here. You typically don't see that sort of thing happening, but look at that Saturday. Yeah, this would set up a series of waves that would pivot until we start to get that firecracker ridge building in for the first full week of March. So let's go over to the GFS and see exactly what's playing out here. GFS, very similar with the first storm. You see how that energy pivoted here just to the coastal sections by early Tuesday morning. So that is pretty similar here with the European model. But as we go out in time, let's see how that differs throughout the week. GFS has a bit more ridging further to the west here. Still diving the system here across western Texas and the Intermountain West towards Thursday. But watch how the GFS handles this. It keeps this ridge more entrenched here across the eastern part of the country. And yeah, you have blocking up here in Greenland, but watch what happens with this system. It can't go through this ridge, so it's going to have to go up like this, much further to the north. And you see how that kind of rides up the western side of this ridge. It does start to plow it down a little bit, but the GFS is much warmer in pushing the system towards the Great Lakes like this. So at this time, it's too early to say which model is right on this, but as you know, this winter, the European model has had a much better track record than the GFS. So we'll continue to watch it here. It's going to be interesting as we go out in time. The same blocking mega block up here in Greenland is holding true on both models, though. So nationally, what's going on with snowfall? Well, the west is really the big winner here, but as we go through the week, there's through Friday. So let's just back that up just a little. There we go. So we'll do through Wednesday. So yeah, you see the west here, the Sierra Nevadas, towards the north coast of California again, up through the Cascades. Definitely the big winners out here. But look at the northern plains. You start to see some snow, and then into the northeast with that snowstorm. Now look towards the end of the week there. Look at that. This is the European model, by the way. Yeah, the GFS going, or not the European model going crazy. GFS goes crazy a little bit further to the north, but this European model's a little bit further to the south here. And look at this. We just continue with pummeling storms out west here. And if we go towards total liquid equivalent precipitation, we'll take it through Wednesday here. You can see, with the severe weather going on here in the plains, you'll have quite a bit. Here on the northern side, some more stratiform precipitation. And here in the northeast, a lot of this will be in the form of frozen precipitation, especially if you go, say, northeast of that line there. A lot of frozen precipitation in here, parts of the northeast New England. As we go further out, let's see the trends. Yeah, look at that. It's going to be interesting to watch because all winter we've had a big old precipitation shadow here across parts of the northeast and southern New England. But look at this. We're starting to really fill this in, and out west we just add more fuel to the fire here. So let's take a look at the temperatures here. As we head towards Monday, you can see, look at this. So yeah, we start to erode some of that cold air. We're bringing in some blasting warm air from the south here, but look at this. This cold air really holding tough here across New England in advance of our next system. You start to see temperatures warming up above freezing in parts of New York and Pennsylvania, but that will be short-lived. Look at this, Tuesday morning. This is the area that matters. Look at this. We have this area of 20s here. And the precipitation is going to be falling pretty rapidly into this cold pool of air. That hangs tough all day Tuesday. Look at that. And we get some overnight lows Wednesday morning. Pretty cold there across the northeast to support that frozen precipitation. But watch how quickly Wednesday we warm it up. Yeah, we're warming back into the 40s here, so we'll have a big meltdown happen quickly. Look at that. 67 in Pittsburgh, 55 in Cleveland. Crazy 70s all the way up to Kentucky. And we head into Thursday morning, there's your lows, and then we start to warm it up pretty quickly here. We have a big old baroclinic zone here. There's that frontal boundary that's going to stall. So we're going to start to tap in some of this colder air to the north. Now, depending on which model's correct, European model's showing some cold air blasting south for Friday. In advance of this system here across parts of the Ohio Valley and the Appalachians, it's going to spin this direction according to the European model. Look at this cold air out ahead of it. This would be cold enough to support that snow. And look at how it pivots here. You have some really warm temperatures up here into the Carolinas. This is even by midnight Friday night. Look at this. Cold air enough to support snow here across parts of the Ohio Valley into the northeast. And look at that as we head throughout Sunday. Yeah. Colder reinforcing temperatures here across parts of the northeast, but look at that Monday. We start to warm it up again in the Ohio Valley as we pivot towards the east here. And there's our last frame. I'll leave you with Wednesday morning. It's not looking too bad here across the east. And my extended outlook for my hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna River Valley, New York, Pennsylvania, and all points in between Monday through Thursday. Let's look at this Monday afternoon through Monday night. You're going to see about an inch of snow through dark sunset there. And then overnight Monday night, that's where things get really bad. 3 to 5 inches of snow. It's going to be a heavy wet snow, windy conditions, so scattered power outages are possible. As you're waking up Tuesday, we'll see an additional inch through noon. We will make it up past 36 after the snow ends, but it'll be windy, and the area roadways will still be a little bit on the bad side. Wednesday, we'll have some clearing, 48 degrees, and look at that, by Thursday, 50 degrees, but we'll be looking for that potential for another snowstorm potential later Friday into Saturday. Thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather Northeastern and Weather Eastern. Don't forget Facebook MeteoMark, Weather Northeastern, also Hurricane Northeastern, at Susquehanna Weather for my local page. And guess what? MeteoMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com is Twitter, at Weather Eastern. Don't forget, question or comment down below. Smash that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell button, share the video, and thanks for joining me.